What's up, everybody? Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel for yet another edition of the Morning Movie Chat. And God, can you believe it's already Tuesday? Yeah, I know, right? It seems like, man, it just seems like time is absolutely flying. I'm not sure if it's just this year, if it's just me because I'm getting older because I have kids, or maybe it's because I've just got so much piled on my plate that it just seems to stay that way. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Anytime you guys are here to watch my live videos, I do greatly appreciate it. Your support is greatly appreciated, and gosh, man, I honestly don't know what to say other than, what, if you're new here to the Second Street Marvel, thank you so much for being here. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for being here as well. Like I said, you guys are kind of what makes these live shows and makes these things fun to do. So all that being said, if you're not already, please make sure you're subscribed and click the little bell and all of that good stuff. It helps defeat Hydra, who is constantly trying to bury me in that YouTube algorithm. So please help take up the fight against Hydra. Okay, much greatly appreciated. Oh man, is that what happened here? Interesting. This is very interesting. I'm not sure what's going on here with that. But anyway, yeah, thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel today. I do greatly appreciate it. And today, I'm going to talk about a little bit about horror movies. Now, recently, I just, you know what, that's kind of bugging me now. I'm wondering why that's not working. Hmm. 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 Anyway, thank you all so much for being here today. Like I said, today I want to talk about horror movies, and you guys, if you guys follow me here on the channel, I'm not like the biggest horror fan, but I do love a good horror movie. It just seems like it's been so long since we've had any great horror movies out there to talk about, and it seems like lately, over the past couple of years, I would say, it seems like it's been a genre that has been kind of making its comeback. And I know, when it comes to horror, I'm sure we all have kind of different expectations. I know when a lot of times when people think of a horror movie, they think of something like that's scary, something that's going to scare them, right? And man, that's really bugging me. And again, that's something that's really to be debated. I mean, a horror movie doesn't have to scare you. It can be something gory. It can just be something kind of out of the ordinary. And like I said, recently we had the release of Rob Zombie's third film, which was The Three from Hell. His third film in that, I guess, that particular franchise of films with that family of characters, and I can't even remember what they call them now. But yeah, we just had that, and I went and seen that at the movie theater a couple of weeks ago, just before it came out on DVD. It is available out right now, Three from Hell, where you can go and check that out. I thought it was a pretty good flick, and then I did go recently watch the Soska Sisters Rabid at for its North American premiere down in LA at Screamfest, which was it was quite an experience because I got to meet the sisters. I got to meet a couple of the actors that were in the movie. They had a little Q&A afterward. It was a really good time, and I actually just got my review for that movie recorded and everything, so you guys, I'll be look forward to seeing that drop here on the channel very soon. Now, I shot that, and it's kind of a bit delayed because the movie's not out at theaters currently. Like it's making its debut at a bunch of different like horror festivals that are going on right now. And like I said, it made its North American premiere at Screamfest LA just here on October 15th. And I'm telling you guys, it was a really great time, and this movie was really good. If you are a fan of horror, of the horror genre, I think it's definitely one you guys will want to check out. Now, the thing is, and that's what I wanted to talk about today was basically the Soska sisters and this horror genre, and how it's becoming bigger again. I remember having a conversation with somebody not too long ago. I believe that was Miles Z, where you should definitely go check out his channel here on YouTube. That's Miles Z Movie Reviews. Where he did a video. I can't remember. He was talking about some horror films and everything, and I asked him about we were just talking about horror, and and the kind of conversation came up. It seems like horror movies are making a comeback. This genre is becoming big again, and that's, that can be a good thing, because one thing that I definitely like seeing, and that's one thing, like, we see a lot of films out there these days that are big budget horror films, and that's not always necessarily a good thing. I think this is someplace where smaller independent films, I would say, play a little bit more prominent role, because when they have lower budgets, you got people being more conscious of what they're doing with their money when they're making their movie, and a lot of times they're trying to use more practical effects and less computer generated imagery and things like that. And that, to me, I think that's a good thing, because something I was talking about yesterday, with like the scope, talking about cinema and what Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola call cinema. Movies like this, like horror genre movies, they really keep a lot of the other, like, craft people in the industry working, whether that's making, like, some of the, like, the facial prosthetics and different things like that for like these horror films, and just building these more practical sets. I think it's something that is definitely more needed these days, because, like I said, it seems like so much these days, so many movie makers and everything rely on green screen, and that it's understandably so, because it seems like these days more movies are getting away from being filmed on actual film and more on the digital aspect, with digital cameras and things like that. They are on the rise. I mean, yeah, I can't remember. I think it was even Rob Zombie in some of the bonus features, like that we went and seen when I seen that Fathom Events feature, and it's probably on the DVD of Three from Hell. Is that nowadays it's so expensive to shoot on film, and that makes sense. And then when you move into the digital world and you start shooting on digital cameras, I mean, you got to do so much if you still want that same look that you would get with film, that same kind of gritty look, because colors and everything pops so much more on the digital cameras. So I understand why a company and things like that, they would use more digital art in their films, and that makes sense. But I think there's a lot to be said for making practical sets and practical use of just effects and things like that within the movies. Nerdy Blurb TV, what's up? How you doing this morning, my friend? Now, if you guys haven't ever checked out Nerdy Blurb TV, you guys need to go down in the link in this description on this video and all my videos. You will find a link down in the description for Nerdy Blurb TV. As Ryan over there at Nerdy Blurb TV is the person who did that intro that I use in all of my videos, and I use it in the outro of most of them as well. Very, very great channel. Ryan is a great dude, and recently, I believe it was just yesterday, he released a Joker. They did a Joker review with Kolb's Bulbs Reviews, which is another great channel you should go check out. It was a fun video that I got to check out yesterday, so you guys should make sure you go check out Nerdy Blurb TV. And Kermit the Log, thank you so much for being here. And definitely, if you guys are here and you haven't checked out Kermit the Log and his channel, definitely another good channel that you guys would want to go check out. Now, I'm about to sneeze. I knew it was coming. So again, Kermit the Log, thank you so much for being here. Kermit the Log says, I love horror. Hell, Second Street Marvel. Yes, and me, myself, I've always enjoyed horror. Now, the thing is like I said, for me, it was a thing like with my childhood and seeing some of the things, like when I was little, you're scared by more things, and you see these movies and you're like, ooh, that's scary. And you get older as an adult and you're like, like most of the things aren't as scary. Now you're looking at more horrific scenes, graphic things that kind of horror isn't necessarily about being scared anymore. You know what I mean? Like getting scared. I remember being a kid and watching Freddy Krueger and being scared, like, oh, Halloween and all those kinds of things as well. And I think when you're a kid, that's kind of what it's about, is getting that scary feeling. And now as I grew older, it's like, I don't get that anymore out of these films. But then I see that it's really it's about more than just that. Kermit the Log says The Lost Boys. The Lost Boys is a classic, definitely a classic from my childhood. One that I definitely really enjoy, and it's one of those movies, like, people, talking about reboots and remakes these days, that people would be like, oh, you can't remake The Lost Boys. Now, it's a classic, but again, I think you can if it's done right, and whoever's going to do it has to go out there and love the film and love where it's coming from in order to do it properly. Kermit the Log says The Monster Squad. Yes, Oh man, I haven't seen the Monster Squad since I was a kid, and I remember that movie being really great. The Wolf Man has nards. Great stuff, great stuff. And for me, one of the things like with a great horror movie uh, um, is it seems like a great horror movie always has an element of cheesiness to it. You know what I mean? It's got to have a little bit of cheese in there. And that's not to say that it's not like the filmmakers aren't being serious, that nobody takes the film seriously, but it seems like every great horror movie has just a slight element of cheese to it. To me, that little bit of cheesiness just kind of proves that the people who are making the film are having fun while they're making the film. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have fun making a film and being serious, but I think that little bit of added cheesiness sometimes is kind of what helps set the tone between something being funny and something being horrific. Because, I mean, if you go back and take a look at a movie like The Evil Dead, there were some silly things that happened in that movie, but some of those silly things kind of make it a little bit horrific, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, they kind of leave a sense of unease. They make you feel a little just out of place, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and I think that's definitely something that plays well in a lot of these types of films, and especially because in most horror movies, if it's not like a bigger budget Hollywood flick, you're not getting like the A-list actors and everything out there. Like, I don't know that anybody ever goes out there making a horror movie that's looking to win awards from like the Academy or the Oscars or anything like that. You're typically making a horror movie because you want to make a great gory flick and have some fun, and I think that's something that is kind of lost in some of the horror flicks out there, where they're just trying to be too horrific, too graphic, and not really having enough fun with it. And I think that's something that is definitely needed for a great horror movie. Nerdy Blurb TV says, "I feel like the genre is evolving into a wider sense than scary or gory with a lot of drama thrown in." Yeah, agreed. Get Out was amazing. That it was. I actually like Get Out, and you know what? That's Get Out. Okay, let me finish your comment there. Get Out was amazing. Not the first to bend the genre, but horror is subjective now, and I like it. Agreed. And then I think that's kind of something I was getting at too here is like with a movie like Get Out, there's not really anything like gory going on in that movie. There's not really a whole lot of gore that's going on in the movie, but it is horrific in the sense of what's going on in the storytelling. And I think that's something with some of these lower budget movies that is very important when they're making these flicks, is they're relying more on story to tell the story. And I think that is a good thing. That's something that we want, because when you just have a big budget and you can just kind of do whatever and put whatever on screen, you focus less on the storytelling. And I think that's something that's definitely missing in a lot of movies, not just horror movies, but in a lot of movies, is the storytelling aspect of it. If you ask me, I think that's something that is wrong in some of the comic book movies, especially within like the DC universe, where they didn't take a whole lot of time, like we've seen in some of the DCEU movies, they didn't take a whole lot of time to work on the story and ground their characters to flesh out the world that they're living in. They just kind of just started tossing everything together. Where the Marvel Cinematic Universe has taken a little bit more of an approach to that, to build, of world building, of storytelling, of character building. And I think that's something that is definitely prominent in a movie like Get Out, where you see it's more story driven. Like Get Out to me is like a horror version of the movie Friday. Where they had a lower budget. They took a great script that was really well story driven and can put it into a movie and do these things with it without having to have a high budget for effects or anything like that. So definitely, and again, this is something funny as well, because the movie Get Out was done by Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele, as we know, comes from more of a comedic background, and that's something I talk about here on the show a lot. Is these people from comedic backgrounds going into more like different territories and being successful at it. Jordan Peele did an absolutely great job with Get Out. I can't remember what was the other one he just did this year. Us. I haven't seen it. Isn't that what it was called? Us? I haven't seen that one yet. I'm very interested in seeing that because, I did like Get Out. I thought it was pretty good. And then, we see like a lot of comedic people go into dramas and seem to do really good in that aspect as well. And I guess that's, something that plays into it. Like I said, I think a good horror movie still has to have a little bit of cheese in it. It has to be it just has to have that in there because that's something that's interjected that makes it seem really good. It just brings a new level of quality to it because you're just having fun, which is something you ultimately want to be doing while you're making a film, even when you're making something serious. Nerdy Blurb TV says, "Love me some Lost Boys." Yeah, it's definitely a good one. Lost Boys was a great movie, and I can't even remember who directed that movie, but that movie was a great flick. Nerdy Blurb says, "Dang, I'm not worthy." Thank you, my friend. No, you're totally worthy, dude. Like you're great. One of these days, we're gonna do something, man. We're gonna do something big. We're gonna make I don't know, maybe a movie or like a little skit or something. We got to do something. Kermit the Log says, "You're too kind." Nah, man, I'm not, man. You guys make great content, man. 19K Fox, good morning, Trinity. Smash that like button, kids. Yes, thank you so much, and good morning, 19K Fox. I hope you're doing well today. 19K Fox, that part in Monster Squad where he finds out his sister's not a virgin. Yeah, I haven't seen it in so long. He says, well, Steve, but he doesn't count. Doesn't count? Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen that movie in so long. Like that was definitely one from my childhood, and I think that's something that's when it comes to like this horror genre that I think is probably prominent. Like I said, you see something as a kid and it's like scary or like gory, and you're like it kind of scares you. Where once you get older, you kind of grow on past some of those things, some of those feelings, and so I think it's probably one of those genres that's very hard to probably hard to make a really great film in. Now, however, I believe I can't remember if it was Kevin Smith or somebody else out there saying that if you want to get into filmmaking, you start in horror, and not because it's easy. I think it's just probably because you learn a lot doing that, and it's probably something where you can do a little bit more experimentation with and get away with it. You can put funny things in there, play on the comedic aspect within the horror genre. You can play on the drama aspect within the horror genre, and of course, you get to work on just a little bit of everything else. You're working on effects, you're working on sets, on decorating, just all kinds of different things. So, I guess that's probably what it is because there's a lot of things that go into the wheelhouse of making a great horror movie. And like I said, like I said, I did get to go out and see. I seen Rabbit at the movie theater, which was a remake of a 1977 David Cronenberg flick, which was after watching Rabbit, the 2019 reboot, or remake, I guess. I thought it was a really really great and really well done. And after watching it, I was sitting there thinking like, I kind of wonder if I seen the original when I was a kid, and I just don't quite remember it all because I went back and I watched the trailer, and I actually just recently ordered it on DVD so I can watch it, and I'll be bringing a review on that here very soon. But I remember seeing it, and I watched the trailer, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen this, especially considering that, well, one, it's a Cronenberg flick, and, I grew up, I had some cousins, had an uncle, they were all into, like, the horror genre and things like that when I was growing up, and obviously they were a little bit older than me, and they were definitely into porn, and so, Marilyn Chambers would have been somebody that was on their radar when I was growing up back in the 80s, so I'm almost sure that I've seen the movie Rabbit before, and like I said, the subject matter seemed really familiar, and soon, like I said, I just ordered that on DVD, and it will be coming in soon, and I'll do a review on that and maybe do a video doing the comparison of the two videos. Now, the one thing that I want to that I really want to kind of talk about here too is just Hollywood in general, and like moving forward, getting into these movies. Like I said, we see like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been very successful in building their brand and building their movie catalog. And a lot of that is due to the fact that Kevin Feige has went out there and sought out smaller directors, more independent style directors to come in and bring into that genre to do that. And basically, you're giving somebody who's used to using and working with on a smaller scale with practical effects and things like that, and you're giving them a huge big budget to work with and make these big blockbuster films. And I think that could be a good thing, because when you see like the creativity and everything that a lot of these smaller filmmakers have, and they're used to working with those small budgets, you basically tell them you're basically making the same story, and we're going to add some computer generated graphics and things like that to it. And one of these days, I'm telling you, the Soska sisters need to be given a movie like this, whether it's a DC movie or a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. They need to be given one of these bigger budgets and a bigger budget movie, and be given a chance, and somebody take that gamble on them, because these ladies have done some great work. And I say that having just yesterday, I finally watched. Yes, I finally watched probably it would be the third film of theirs that I've watched. I've got Dead Hooker in a trunk getting ready to come in the mail as well, so I'll be doing a review on that as well. That's another film that the Soska sisters had done. But I just watched American Mary. Okay, and American Mary is, I believe, is their first full-length feature film that they put out, and that came out back in 2012, and it was a really good movie. I just watched that last night, and I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal film. Now, this movie was their first full-length movie that they had made, basically getting out of film school, and they the way they got this movie made was, you can go through and you can even see, like, I think probably the executive producers on it are their parents, the Soska sisters' parents, because at the time their parents had put up their house, they gambled their house. They put up their house and put it up and got money out so they could make, so they could invest in their daughter's movie. So this movie, American Mary, basically came out thanks to the Soska sisters' parents putting their house up and gambling with their potential future on their daughter's movie. And I gotta tell you guys, like, if you haven't seen American Mary, you need to go out and see that movie. Go watch it. I watched it for free. Like I said, I already ordered it and it's coming in the mail, but you can go watch it for free, like through God, what was it I used? I think it was the Tubi TV app. It was on like the Amazon Fire Stick thing or whatever. You can go watch it there for free. Of course, it's got commercials and all that stuff. And if you guys know me, I freaking hate commercials. I hate commercials. Which God, man, this thing is really bugging me. I think you should go check it out. Now, in the movie American Mary, basically what we see is there's this girl who is going through college to be a doctor. She wants to be a surgeon, and she's going through school, and we can see she's things aren't the easiest in her life. She's struggling, to make ends meet and be able to go to college and things like that. And well, what happens is she's looking for a way to make money. She's behind on her bills. She's behind on her rent and everything else. I would assume she's not doing too good. She's struggling. It's a common theme that I think a lot of us go through. At times where we struggle with things. Just balancing finances and things like that, especially when you're at a point when you're going to school. So we see that she's going to school, and she's looking for a way to make money. So she reaches out, she gets on like a Craigslist and looks up these ads and finds one that she wants to do. So she ends up going to the strip club to I guess essentially apply for a job to become a stripper. So she goes in to I guess you could say audition for a job there. And while she's there auditioning, the guy who owns the place, the proprietor of this business, if you will, is the guy giving her an audition. And you can see that he's being a little bit chauvinistic, and he's going to get her to do things that she probably don't want to do just to get a job to make some money. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to think this is a strip club, so you know what I mean. It's like he's probably not having your average kind of interview here. So we can see that something happens, while she's there being interviewed. Obviously, he wants to see her assets and things like that, and really, see how far he can push her. And so she goes ahead and puts up with it. Well, during all of this, there comes a situation. She took a resume into him, and he's kind of reading through it, like, what the hell, And so it turns out he ends up getting some news about a situation with one of his employees that needs some medical assistance. And he comes back and turns to her and he's like, how exactly far are you in your schooling to become a surgeon? And she's like, why? He goes, well, Yeah, and she tells him, and he's like, "Well, you know what? I'll give you $5,000 right now. I just, you know, no questions asked if you can go do this and help out some of my people." So he takes her to this underground like warehouse for her to perform this surgery, this pretty gruesome surgery on somebody that had basically been lacerated from from their like about their middle chest all the way up through their face. Looked like they had probably been cut with a sword or something. So she goes ahead reluctantly and helps this guy out. And so she performs the surgery. She gets home, and you can see that it makes her sick. It makes her nauseous. It was something she was not into, which obviously, if you're going in to be a surgeon or something like that, the scene that she kind of walked in on is something you got to kind of be used to seeing. I mean, not everybody has the stomach for these kinds of things. And we can see that at first she really doesn't. And throughout the course of the movie, it seems like she kind of doesn't in the first place. But again, I mean, I guess when it comes to something like that with that kind of blood and gore and just seeing the kinds of things that she's going to be seeing in that type of field, it's something you kind of probably got to kind of grow accustomed to, something you got to have a stomach for. So she goes home and it makes her sick. She returns to school and is there, like I said, we can see that she's struggling and having problems. So while she helps this guy in his situation, this proprietor of the strip club, he she eventually she's sitting there at home and starts getting these phone calls. Okay, somebody's trying to solicit her for business, and she's like, "Who the hell is this?" Like, I don't know who this is. And she ends up meeting, and of course, there's cheesy kind of circumstances that come up where she ends up having this person that seeks her out for her business, for her for surgical needs. And the person seeks her out, and so she says, like, "Where did you get a hold of me? How did you get a hold of me?" And apparently this person had got a hold of her from her resume that had been dropped off at the nightclub, and that's where this person had worked at. So she goes ahead and performs some work for this person's friend. And this person has a lot of money, has a lot of disposable income, if you will. And so that's where she kind of gets into the underground world of underground surgeries, plastic surgery. People are always wanting these elective surgeries and things because we can see that this character that reached out to her was trying to make herself, went through all these surgeries to make herself look like Betty Boop. And this character is actually, I want to say her name was Beatrice. I could be wrong there. And she was played by Tristan Risk, who is somebody who has collaborated with the Soska sisters numerous times. And so she goes ahead and does this, and her friend is sitting there telling her, like, "Ooh, like, we can make you a lot of money because there's a lot of people out there with a lot of disposable income who want surgeries and things like that." And we can see that that's what she kind of makes a career out of. Well, while she's doing that, we can see that she starts doing better financially. She's still going to school, and all of a sudden her teachers kind of noticing, like, "Hey, like, something's going on here." Well, they were. And he just kind of started taking notice. Well, she's actually out training for school. She's actually there training for school, and they put her in. They're putting them in these kind of like real world scenarios. And during this, while she's going through this part of her schooling, one of the teachers there, one of the doctors, is like, "Hey, like, we're having this little party tonight. You should come. Like her professor or whatever had mentioned her name." And so she goes ahead and goes to this party. Well, at this party, we find that there's probably obviously some assumptions made about her and what she's been doing. And she ends up at this party, ends up getting roofied, and ends up getting raped. And at that point, she kind of goes a little more off the deep end. She goes out seeking revenge on those people who had done her wrong, and rightfully so. I mean, these are people, like, these aren't good people. It's something that's so prominent in our world today. And that's something that I like about the Soska sisters movies that they have been dealing with, is talking about some of these things. Like I said, if you go and follow them on Twitter or Instagram, you can see that they are very outspoken when it comes to like the like Jeffrey Epstein and everything that's been going on there with that case. They're constantly bringing things up like that. The recent Black Widow series they did for Marvel Comics was focusing on human trafficking and basically rapists and all those kinds of things, just very bad people. So that's one of the things I like about the couple of movies that I've seen out of them is they're focusing on those kind of things, bringing awareness to those kinds of things, because we can see that there's people out there in Hollywood who are kind of involved in some of all this stuff. I mean, you can even go look at some of the work that Ashton Kutcher has done, and again, his career has suffered for that too. And I think that's one of the things I like about the Soska sisters is they bring these things to light, and they're willing to talk about them, and they're willing to basically make these movies that kind of start an uncomfortable conversation, because the situations and everything going on here, they're uncomfortable things that not everybody wants to talk about, and not everybody wants to just look at and realize, like, man, there's some bad shit that goes on in our world. And that's a lot what this movie deals with. It was pretty graphic in some of the violence and things going on here. And again, I think this movie was really great. American Mary, one I think you guys should definitely check out. Again, maybe I'll sit down and break down and do a review of that, and maybe I'll just do like a little showcase thing on the Soska sisters and everything they've done. Even though you guys can see I've talked about them plenty here on the channel. But again, I finally did get a chance to watch American Mary. Great movie. And you could, like I said, you could see here just through their first movie, we already had in there, and it's no wonder that this movie was a cult classic. Like as soon as it came out, American Mary, because it's really well done for a first film out of some filmmakers. It's a great film. I can't say that I've seen a whole lot of other first films out of people that are this great. There's a learning curve when it comes to things, and obviously, I'm sure they probably had like a short film that they did before this, and I can't remember what the name of it was. It might have been a short of just this movie in itself. But it was a really well done movie, and that you could see they take all the pieces and they do what they can with the budget that they have, and this is something that I think we need more of in Hollywood. And like I said, these ladies have pretty much made their way into Hollywood all on their own. I mean, obviously they went through the schooling, and they have a background. They were doing some acting and things like that as well, and then they wanted to go out and be filmmakers. So that's what they did. They went out and sought it, and they went out and found their own way into Hollywood. They went out there and have made a name for themselves, and they've done one hell of a job directing the movies that they have been in so far. I cannot wait to see more movies by these ladies. Like I said, Dead Hooker in a Trunk is getting ready to come to my house here pretty soon, and I'll do a review on that as well. And again, like I said, one of these days, these ladies are going to be given a big budget movie, and I guarantee you they are going to knock your socks off. They're going to blow audiences out of the water, as they already have with just the few films that they've already done. So I'm going to go ahead and get back here into the live chats and see what everybody else is saying. Kermit the Log says, when I was a kid, I wanted to be the shirtless saxophone player from Lost Boys at Beach Party. Yeah, right? Kermit the Log says, I love Dead Hookers. Oh, I know. How's Piggy doing, by the way? Tell Miss Piggy I said hi. Aggressively Relaxing says, you would remember watching a Cronenberg film, or we'll have to pay a therapist to bring back the repressed memories. Well, that's the thing is, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it when I was a kid, because I'm guessing my cousins and maybe other family members were fans of Cronenberg, because when I went back and I looked at the list of Cronenberg flicks, I'm like, wow. I think I've seen a lot of his movies when I was growing up, and I was a kid, and that was the beautiful thing about when I was growing up in the 80s. When you're growing up in the 80s, nobody gave a damn about putting their kids in front of a TV and watching a rated R movie. You know what I mean? Like, you watch these scary movies, like, you weren't worried about it. Like, it's just something that happened. I'm sure there were some families out there who were more conscious about things like that, and I'm sure my parents were, but of course, like I said, I had that exposure to cousins, to uncles, and things like that who, I may have been exposed to movies that they probably didn't approve of, like heavy metal. Did my parents want me to see heavy metal at the tender young age that I seen it? I don't know, but I remember watching heavy metal thinking like, ooh, man, that movie's a little bit scary, and it's a cartoon, but it's so cool too, like I remember loving that, seeing heavy metal. But the thing with the Cronenberg, like you're saying with the Cronenberg, like that's what I'm saying, like all the Cronenberg flicks that I have seen, I remember them. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure I remember, but I've seen it at a young enough age that it's not something that's like at the front of my memory, because I remember seeing some of his flicks. I mean, we can go through the list here and see what some of his flicks were here. Let me go ahead and look that up. We'll look up some of his flicks that he's done. Um, let's see. We could start at the very beginning if we want to. Um, let's see. We got Crimes from the Future, from 1970, Fort York and the Dirk Lake Shores, Scarsboro Bluffs, Winter Garden 1972, Shivers in 1975. Some of these I don't remember. Rabid 1977, Fast Company in 1979, and that actually sounds very familiar. The Brood from 1979. Oof, man, The Brood sounds very familiar, and it looks familiar. Scanners 1981. I know I've seen that one out. Seen that when I was a kid. Videodrome. I know I seen that when I was a kid, and that was one of those ones that scared the shit out of me, man. Videodrome, but it was so great too. I remember that movie. God, who's all in that movie? It's got that one dude in. Yeah, James Woods is in it. Deborah Harry, but man, who's the guy that is in this movie? And I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he's in here. I can't remember his name, but I can see his face. Um, maybe he's not in this one. But yeah, again, James. I just remember seeing that movie when I was a kid. Because that's a title of a movie. Like you don't forget that. He also did The Dead Zone, The Fly. I definitely remember seeing The Fly when I was a kid. Like that was. The Fly was like, man, that was a trip. Dead Ringers, Naked Lunch, M Butterfly, Crash in 1996. So that's not the Crash movie that probably seen came out in what, like 2003 or whatnot. Existenz, Camera, Short Six, Spider, History of Violence. I didn't know his History of Violence was a Cronenberg flick, and man, that was a good one too. Um, yeah, just some different movies, more recent ones that I probably need to go out there and check out. But again, yeah, I mean, um, so when you're taking on a movie like that, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, I think the Soska sisters did a really great job remaking that Cronenberg flick. But yeah, 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 I definitely remember seeing some of those when I was a kid. And yeah, certainly he's got a style and just some of the things that you see in his movies. Yeah, he's a great filmmaker. Dylan's comic book rant says, "What's up, Trinity? What's up, everyone in the chat? Good morning, Dylan's comic book rants. Big lion cat, the cat is here." That was probably bad, huh? I don't know. I'm terrible. um, let's see. Kermit the Log says, "Oh, okay, okay." Everybody's saying hi. Dylan's comic book rant says, "Dude, Trinity, I watched American Mary for the first time a couple weeks ago after you did your Rabid review. Made me want to check out." Their shit. They did a great job in that movie. They do great on everything. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I just watched it last night for the first time, and man, that was a great flick. And you gotta think about how good that movie. Think about how good American Mary is, and think about that's their first movie, right? That's their first movie that they ever made. Like, yeah, I could go back and just on my YouTube channel, and of course, as it was just me making it. But I look at that and I'm like, ugh, ugh, man, that's cringeworthy. You go and watch American Mary, you're like, wow, this is somebody's first film. Most people would probably look at their first film and be like, ugh. Like I watched American Mary and I'm like, man, I don't know how to compare that to, like, Rabbit is obviously a newer movie and more recent, and it's not their first movie, and I'm like, this is right up there with that. Like they took the time and they really made a great flick for their first movie. I mean, something I'm sure they're obviously proud of. Their parents are proud of, who helped fund the movie. Obviously, their parents believed in them, and that's something that's huge when you're trying to do anything out there in the world. Whether you're trying to make movies, whether you're trying to go out and be a cyclist, whether you're trying to start a new diet, whether you're trying to, no matter, I don't care what you're trying to do, start a business, start a new job. You need people out there supporting you. You need people out there believing in you. It's something huge that you need. For one, I mean, it just kind of helps solidify your beliefs. Because if you ask me, I mean, like, belief is a huge thing. You know what I mean? Not only that others believe in you, but you believing in yourself, and having other people who believe in you and in your vision is something that's very, very important. Because you gotta have people that have your back. And yeah, like I said, American Mary, that was a great movie. It was a great movie. I'm glad I ordered it. I'm glad I ordered it. Um, let's see. Kermit says, "I follow the 5 minute rule with dead hookers." Or the 5 minute, not the 5 second rule, it's the 5 minute rule. That's funny. Um, Dylan's comic book rant says, "You ain't lying. They deserve a big budget movie, no doubt. They're really good, and they won't worry about the story. They won't worry about the story other than just jump scares. Yeah, and that's the thing is like when I was watching American Mary, when I watched even God was that when they did Vendetta, and even when I watched Rabid, there's no jump scares there. They're not relying on cheap just parlor tricks, you know. They're not doing that. Like they went out there and made like just a solid film that like when I was sitting there watching through Rabbit, and even in American Mary, there's stuff I'm sitting there watching, like it's just kind of gory and it's kind of graphic, and I find myself sitting there like like it's not scary, but like it's cringeworthy stuff, and not cringeworthy like it's bad filmmaking, like cringeworthy like you're watching it like ooh, like ugh, like man, that's hard. Imagine like I would say that when it comes to something like, you know, you see like a Quentin Tarantino movie where he gets gory in parts, like where he gets gory in he gets a little bit gory in Reservoir Dogs, you know. He gets a little bit gory in Pulp Fiction. He gets a little bit gory in all of his movies. I think they, at that aspect, are better than even a Quentin Tarantino in what they're doing there with some of their stuff. I mean, it's just really well done. Is that to say they're better filmmakers than Quentin Tarantino? I won't say that. I won't say that because Quentin Tarantino is a phenomenal filmmaker, and again, he comes from a background very similar to theirs as well. So you know, in a similar background, I think they probably more made their own way into Hollywood more so than he did. I mean, he just went out there and but I mean, again, that's probably just a filmmaker's journey as well. But like I said, they've done really good. One of these days, I do hope they get a bigger budget film to make. Like I said, they just did my favorite book, and you know, if they're out there being sought out by companies like Marvel to write comic books for them, you know, their stars on the rise. One of these days, soon, they will be getting a bigger budget movie, and hopefully it would be great if that was a Marvel movie. But you know, they're already making the Black Widow movie that's already being made, and it would be great if we could ever see the Soska sisters Black Widow book turned into a movie. But again, I don't think that's a film that Hollywood wants to make, let alone Marvel Studios, because this movie would be rated R for sure. It would definitely be rated R, and I just don't see Marvel Studios wanting to make that movie, even though they have said, you know, I believe it was Alan Horn had said that they plan on keeping Deadpool rated R. If they did that, if they keep Deadpool rated R, if you ask me, they need to keep Punisher, Black Widow, and probably a couple of other of these characters in the rated R world, and let them cross over into the MCU, into the PG-13 thing, where they can do more toned down stuff. Because like characters like that can't be done justice without the rated R. Punisher, you can't do Punisher PG-13. You can't. You just simply can't. It's gun violence. He shoots people dead. He kills them. That's what he does. Black Widow, that's what she does. She's brought up in the Red Room. She was trained to be an assassin. She kills people with guns and knives and all kinds of other different ways as well. That's what she does. You can't make that PG-13. You can't. It's just too bloody and violent. The same thing with like a Deadpool. Now, like I said, I think they need to make some of these movies in a rated R world and let them characters cross over into the PG-13 movies. They'd only be smart if they did that. And when they do that, that's maybe a time when they need to look to a Soska sisters to come in and make that movie. Like, could you imagine the Soska sisters coming in and making a Punisher flick? That would be, I mean, I almost said it on the morning show where I try to keep it PG-13. That would be freaking great to see them make a Punisher film, to see them make a Black Widow film, or even a new Wolverine film. Oh, man, that would be cool. That would be cool, because like I said, they come from a background where they're using more practical effects, less digital stuff like that. You give them a bigger budget movie, just other people there. Like I said, when you're making a film, it's all about a team, and obviously they'd bring a lot of their team and people that they have collaborated with in the past to make a flick like that, because that's just what you do when you get in those types of situations. You bring people with you along for the ride, people that have always been there with you, people that have always supported you, people who are, whether they're actors, whether they're people behind the camera or anything like that. You bring those people with you to help bring that same magic to the screen. So one of these days, I really do hope that they get a bigger budget flick from one of these big studios to make, because they, for me, so far, they have proven to be great and phenomenal filmmakers. Like I said, I've only watched the 3 of their movies, and it's very good. Now, Vendetta, I would say, is a little bit more on the cheesy side. That one was produced, with, I believe it was WWE Films. I'd just say just a little more on the cheesy side, just because, I mean, it seemed that it's not a horror flick. That's what it is. It's not a horror flick. It's not to say it's a cheesy movie, because, like I was saying earlier, to me, a good horror movie or anything like horrific like that has to have a little bit of cheese in there. And I think that some of that comes too, like I said also earlier, with not having like your A-list actors out there. And to me, I think that's a good thing, because some of these, like a horror flick, is where a lot of these other people who aren't the A-listers really shine. They really shine, because I don't think that there's a whole lot of A-list actors out there who were probably like the best people to be doing like a horror genre type movie. Like I said, some of that stuff kind of gets drowned out in Hollywood, and that's not always necessarily a good thing. Just because there's a good big name actor doesn't mean that they can do great in everything. And certainly we've seen a number of movies where we've seen a lot of these A-listers where they've had bad movies. So, again, I guess it just comes down to the story and the movie and things like that. Aggressively Relaxing says, soon that whole list you read will have a remake. Hollywood is determined to remake every Cronenberg and Verhoeven film. Yeah, and you know what? And actually, in my review that I just shot of Rabid, the 2019 remake of Rabid, they kind of explain why they did it. And the Soska sisters explained why they did it, because they did a little introduction before the movie, and then they did a Q&A afterward. They explained why they did that, and that is one of the reasons is they said the Hollywood, I mean, the industry was going to make this movie anyway. We absolutely love David Cronenberg, and that's why we decided to take this on and do it, because somebody was going to do it anyway. We love his work, and we wanted to make a true homage piece. And they said we basically made this movie for him and not for anybody else. And to me, that just says a lot. I mean, for one, they're like I said, they're really talented, they're really awesome, really sweet ladies, and they did a great job remaking that film. Like I said, I've got the original getting ready to come in the mail so I can watch that and then compare the two once again. But like I said, this movie is going to be Rabid, will be released on December 13th. Now, I'm not sure if it's doing, and I believe I read somewhere that it's coming out on DVD and digital very soon. Very soon afterward, so not too much later, but I believe it's making its its big, nationwide release on December 13th. And so you guys, I'm telling you, if you're into the horror genre, you should definitely get out to the theater and see this one on the big screen if it comes to a theater near you. If not, it will soon be available after that on digital and Blu-ray. And I can guarantee you, I'm going to buy that shit on Blu-ray when it comes out, because it was a great film. Immortal Biggie Shack, what's up? How you doing this morning? He says, hey-o, you cannot. I cannot what? What'd I do? What? Aggressively Relaxing says, I read Deadpool, Punisher, and Black Widow every week, and they all have a teen rating. Right, yeah, in the comic books, yeah, definitely. Because you know what, like Punisher is one, like in the comic books, man, it gets pretty graphic for just being being published by Marvel. Like some of the stuff I see in it is stuff that I would expect more out of like a smaller print publisher, where they're cussing in there and they got blood and guts and gore and boobies and everything in it. I've seen like some pretty graphic stuff in just like the recent run of Punisher, which has sadly come to an end. I really liked Matt Rosenberg's work in the Punisher series. Unfortunately, he's not going to be doing, I don't think he's the one that's going to be doing the Punisher Soviet thing, whatever's getting ready to come out. Man, that's just sad. But yeah, and I haven't been reading the Deadpool series. I've never really read much Deadpool. But yeah, even Black Widow. Black Widow's been kind of pushing the envelope. Now, the recent Black Widow series hasn't. I mean, the recent Black Widow series is kind of. I'm not sure how to feel about it yet. I gotta read that issue number 3 because I think it's only a 5 issue mini arc, but it doesn't seem like a whole lot's happening in it. There's no real meat and potatoes to it yet. Where I remember, like by the third one on the Soska sisters, No Restraints Play storyline, by issue number 3, I was fully invested. I'm like, oh yeah, I was totally on board with that book by the time I seen issue number 3. And here with this current series, I'm kind of sitting here wondering like it's not bad, but I need a little bit more here. I need a little bit more to this story. But again, it's not bad. Let's see. Everybody's saying what's up. Biggie Shack says, chillin'. Hey, aggressively, do me a favor. Go to my channel. See if I got a new vid I posted. I can't find it. Like the last 2 hours. Man, I thought. Man, did I see one drop by you this morning, Biggie Shack? I can't remember if I did see that on there. He's saying the last video was from 18 hours ago. Okay, maybe that's the one I seen. It was the one from. Maybe that's the one I seen from yesterday. Immortal Biggie Shack says, cannot do Punisher without rated R. And I highly agree. Now, and that's the thing is, you can't do a Punisher flick without it being rated R. I agree. Now, the thing is that, the argument has been made about Deadpool. Can you do Deadpool PG-13? I think you can. I think you can do Deadpool PG-13 because, like I said, if you go back and watch any of the Austin Powers flicks, those are PG-13 movies. And what's he do? He does a lot of crude humor and everything through humor and clever edits. When he's getting ready to say something bad, they will interject something else in there, like maybe a crude reference, or they just do like a clever edit where somebody else finishes a word or finishes a sentence for him that kind of plays on exactly what he was saying. And I think they could do that with a Deadpool flick. Now, however, I think that's what they need to do if they're going to tie him into a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie and put him in the PG-13 world. I think they could do a whole movie like that, but they would be better served by keeping Deadpool in a rated R world in his own solo movies. Like, his solo movies should be rated R, but he can do any amount of crossovers into the MCU, into that world of films, and be kept at PG-13. PG-13. I do think that. But Punisher, rated R, it's an absolute must. I don't think you can do it PG-13. Like, even if he crossed over into a film, pretty much you're cutting out a lot of what he's doing. You're showing him shooting at people, and you're probably just seeing bodies falling and not necessarily actually seeing what he's doing. Because, again, it comes down to gun violence, and with the climate in America right now, and this just being a Disney thing, I don't think they want to put that out there in a PG-13 flick, and it would require that R rating. Aggressively Relaxing says, fun fact, Deadpool has killed 14 people in the year 2019. Oh, that's not too bad. I don't think that's too bad, is it? That seems like a pretty decent head count. I mean, so far, what would that be? That's less than 2 a month. You know what I mean? That's less than 2 a month. So, I mean, did he skip any months? Maybe it has been 2 a month. I don't know. But, yeah, gosh, guys, I really don't know what else to say other than, I think, hopefully these great horror flicks are making a comeback in the world. Like I said, I can tell you that I have finally watched, more of the Soska sisters' work, and they've been doing a phenomenal job. And if there is any other writer, director, producers out there who are doing great horror flicks, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. I will happily take the suggestions, as it seems like, like I said, it seems like it's something that's getting bigger out there in the world, and it seems like it's getting more prominence. Maybe we are back in, how would you say, like a renaissance of horror films, where they're going to be making a comeback. And like I said, I think that could be a good thing because, like I said, it's a genre I haven't been into lately. Like, we see like a lot of these movies like The Purge and some of those things coming out there, and like I see them and I'm just like, I haven't watched the movies because they don't grab me. They don't bring me in and make me want to watch them. Where I watched like some of the trailers for these Soska sisters flicks, I'm like, man, this movie looks good. This movie looks good. And I think that's one thing, especially when you're out promoting a movie, you have to do. And like I said, I can tell you that in the future, I will be paying attention to the Soska sisters and following their career. Like I said, I mean, mostly probably because I'm riding high, because I got to meet them and they were so awesome and they were so sweet. And I see what they do online through their Twitter, through their Instagram, and things like that. They are, I mean, through their films and just everything they do, their activism and everything, they're trying to bring these issues to the forefront and trying to make a better world for us all, for me, for you, and for our children. You know what I mean? They do these blood drives every single year. During God, was it like the Women in Horror event that happens every year? Just some absolutely great stuff they're out there doing. So I think they're just definitely some creators. You guys should definitely go out there and support. Go out there, go out to your local comic book shop. Pick up the Black Widow series that they just did. Pick it up. It's called No Restraints Play. It's on trade paperback right now. You can get it for $15.99. Maybe it's $14.99, but you can go get it. It's an absolutely great book where Black Widow goes to Madripoor to seek out some people because she has a thirst for blood and she wants to go out and quench that thirst. So she seeks out the worst people, and in Madripoor, that's where they are. It's like the cesspool of human trafficking, and people are just being abused left and right. Man, it's a perfect tale for these times. You know what I mean? And you can see just through the storytelling they do in that movie, they are bringing awareness to the forefront of things like human trafficking, child molesters, and things like that. Just through a simple comic book. That's why it's my favorite comic book out there right now. It is my absolute favorite comic book that I've ever read. Because of the subject matter that it deals with. I have kids. I have a wife. These are things that I think about. Things that, they're not always on the forefront of my mind, but I think about these things and like, man, this is a messed up world we live in. And then, I go and I see these sisters who are doing everything they can to bring these issues to the forefront. They won't let you forget about a Jeffrey Epstein. They won't let you forget about a Harvey Weinstein. They're gonna bring awareness to when a Francis Ford Coppola starts talking shit about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and people upset about Francis Ford Coppola not liking the Marvel Cinematic Universe and bringing up the fact that you guys are upset that he don't like the Marvel Cinematic Universe when this guy has actually had the back of this turd who made the Jeepers Creepers movies, who is a known and convicted child molester. How could you not want to back somebody like that up? That's somebody that needs our support. That's somebody that needs more support. Anybody who's willing to bring those awareness to those kinds of things is great, and they do so much awareness for other people out there as well. We can see they actually even bring up some awareness for like the LGBT community and things like that, and you can see that they're not like these all these average blue check marks out there. You know what I mean? They're very well down to earth people who are trying to do good things for people. Not everybody out there in the world is trying to when they're trying to bring awareness to things. Not everybody has an ultimate agenda. Sometimes their ultimate agenda is just to make a better world. A better world for all of us. And that's something that I think we should all want. We should all want to support. And that's why I say, guys, the Soska sisters have got my vote of confidence in anything that they're going to do and in their mission of what they are currently already doing. I'm telling you, these ladies are very highly talented, very phenomenal, great ladies. If you ever get a chance to go to one of their movie premieres, if this movie is touring the world and they're at one of these horror fests near you, you should definitely make it a point to go out and see them, watch this movie, and get a chance just to meet these ladies. I'm telling you, they are absolutely wonderful. They were a joy to meet. So yeah, I think they need our support. I think it's something you guys should definitely check out. Immortal Biggie Shack says, I wish they would make more obscure comic movies like Savage Dragon or Booster Gold or something. And I agree with you, Biggie Shack, and I think that's where something like a Bloodshot movie, that Bloodshot movie is getting ready to be made. I think that's where something like it's important that a movie like that succeeds, because it's based on a character, this character that Valiant owns. Valiant Comics is an independent publisher doing some of these smaller stories. It's important that a movie like that does good, so Hollywood or these other studios will see, like, you know what, there's more out there than just DC and Marvel books, comic books to make content off of. So I think that's where something like that could come into play, and getting more studios to realize that these movies, these are viable flicks. You just have to do them right. You have to get the right people with the right vision to be able to do this, and it's not easy. Not every studio has a Kevin Feige out there. DC don't even have a Kevin Feige out out there. You know what I mean? They went and they got James Gunn, who they're probably going to bring in, like, oh, he kind of knows the Marvel formula. Let's see if we can piggyback on that a little bit, learn something from him, learn what we can from him. And I can guarantee you they are. They're learning from him while he's making that Suicide Squad movie. They are taking notes. They're probably asking him questions. And that's a good thing. That is an absolutely good thing. James Gunn does more work than just for Warner Brothers and DC as well. So he can be out there working with some of these other people, with some of these other studios to help bring some of these things to the forefront. Some of these other comic books, some of these other films like that. And that's why I think it's good that a movie like Bloodshot is going to come out. And hopefully it's a good movie and we'll get asses into seats at the theater and get people liking that, because then they can look into other things like a Savage Dragon or Booster Gold and things like that. Because there's plenty of those books out there that I think would make great films, just to see them be imagined on screen. And that's something that any creator would be happy to see happen, you know, whether it's the comic book writer, the artist, or anything like that, or even just these publishing companies. It kind of reminds me, you know, like I remember remember when the movie Tenacious D came out, and The Pick of Destiny, that movie? Yeah, that Jack Black movie. Yeah, with him and Kyle Gass. Now, they had been doing the Tenacious D for a long time. For a long time, they were doing their whole Tenacious D thing. Like, hell, one of the first movies I remember seeing Jack Black in was the movie Airborne. And, you know, I remember when I went and seen Tenacious D at the movie theater, I remember sitting there, like, thinking about, like, kind of being emotional towards the end, you know, like, I may have even teared up a little bit, thinking, like, man, that's got to be something great for Kyle Gass and Jack Black, is to finally make this movie. This is something they poured their hearts into, basically a project they poured their hearts into for many years, and to see that come to fruition on screen, man, like, they've got to be sitting there, like, right now, just it's like, man, just like, not even patting themselves on the back, just feeling good, because something that they did, something they created, finally got on screen and finally got some sort of big screen recognition. Whether it did great at the box office or not is pretty much irrelevant if you think about it, because they got to do it. But it's very important that movies like that succeed, that when you got these passion projects out there, that they succeed. And hopefully, just like the Soska sisters put the passion into their movies, hopefully the creators of this Bloodshot movie will do the same thing in that movie and pour their passion into it and really, really make it something, you know, that they hold dear and want to do justice and want to succeed. And I think everybody makes movies and they want them to succeed. And a lot of people go out there and make movies that they enjoy. But a lot of times you can really see it come on screen when that happens, you know. And that's kind of what I feel when I watch the movies that they have made. So certainly. Let's see, Big Lion Cat says, guys, hit that like button. Yes, sir. Thank you, Big Lion Cat. Yeah, everybody, make sure you hit that like button. It helps us defeat Hydra, who is always constantly trying to bury us in that YouTube algorithm. And I got that whole Hydra thing from, was it United Comics Unlimited? I can't remember. I talked about it, I believe, yesterday in a video. They're a channel that I found through Perry and Perry Comics and his Comic Book Lurkers channel. A great channel. You guys should go. Again, I believe that was United Comics Universe. UCU. I don't know. I'll see if I can find it and go find a link to that to show you guys. Just some good stuff. But again, thank you so much for that. Aggressively says that what was one of the great things about their Black Widow run was attention to current continuity. Great things about the Black Widow run was attention to current continuity. Yeah, exactly. And that was the one thing I liked, is because, like, you know, basically they had said, like, how she had been reborn in the Red Room after she had been killed by Steve Rogers back in during Secret Empire. And yeah, I thought it was really good, you know. And I think that's something important for a company like Marvel, is to keep their continuity going, because, you know, they don't always do a great job at that. Immortal Biggie Shack says, I'm rooting for Bloodshot. Exactly the stuff I want to see. Exactly, you know. And I've never read Bloodshot, but I'm sure I'll probably go see this movie to support it, and I'll probably go out and read up on some Bloodshot to see how the series is, and, you know, just learn a little bit more about the character before the movie comes out. Dylan's Comic Book Rant says, I agree the Soska sisters do incredible work and they deserve our support. Agreed. I really think they do. He also says, I really hope Bloodshot is good as well. I always want any comic book related movie to do well. The more they do well, the better chance we have of these studios being down to put money down for the more obscure. Yeah, exactly. I highly agree with that. because it lets studios know, like, hey, people want to see these movies. The Immortal Biggie Shack says Tenacious D is an excellent movie. Yeah, that movie was really great. And again, I've been a big fan of the whole Tenacious D thing for a long, long time. I mean, Jack Black, dude. Jack Black is one hell of a talented man. That dude. I mean, he's funny. He's dramatic. I mean, go watch. You can go watch one of his best performances. I mean, seriously, go go watch Jumanji. Whatever the name of that last one was, I can't remember what it wasn't just Jumanji, but that the new one that just came out a little 2 years ago. Go watch that. His performance in that movie was phenomenal. Like the whole movie, he's acting like a teenage girl. You know what I mean? Like that was great. It was right there. It's up there on the scale of another great movie he was in, Tropic Thunder. Remember Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder and what he did in that movie? But just absolutely great work, great character acting. And Jack Black is one of those dudes, man. Like he's like, I will go see anything with Jack Black in it. I will support it because he's just a great actor. He's a great writer, producer, just everything he does. He's gold, man. And that's not to say that everything he does is great, but he's just got a lot of talent, and I like what he does. Dylan's comic book rant says, Tenacious D. I absolutely love that movie. Those guys were amazing. I love those guys. Yeah, me too. Big Lion Cat says, if haven't subbed to Kermit the Log, do so. He's at 995 subs and needs 5 more to get to 1,000. Yes. Oh man, are you serious? I didn't know he was that close. Yeah, guys, go subscribe to Kermit the Log. Like, he does great videos anyway, and if you guys ever pay attention, go follow Snow Dub Music and Entertainment as well, because every single Saturday night they do a show together called the Ribbit and Bigot Show, and they usually have a guest on there. I was honored to be a guest of theirs one time. Dude, these guys are fun. They love to have fun, and they're just out there. They're not being serious. I mean, maybe they're being a little bit serious, but they're just out there having fun, creating great content where you can go laugh and have a good time and relax a little bit. Go check them out, Kermit the Log. And if there's anybody here who wants to drop Kermit the Log's link down in the here in the chat, that would be perfectly fine. He's one of the mods here, and yeah, great stuff, man. I didn't realize he's only 5 away. Shit, that's awesome. Immortal Biggie Shack says, for sure, dude, I totally miss you all the time. All right. Well, I miss you too. Dylan's comic book rant says, Jack Black is highly underrated in my opinion. He is hysterical. Have you ever seen Shallow Hal? Shallow Hal is a classic film. I love Shallow Hal. That movie is hilarious. What is it he says when she's sitting there, when Gwyneth Paltrow is sitting there looking at those underwear? He walks up to her, he's like, what he says, patch and a parachute. Yeah, and then when he goes on the date with the girl and they're walking out and she hands those bums the food and he's all, she goes, oh, here, this is from him. He could finish all his food, and the homeless man looks at him and goes, pussy. Oh man, absolutely great stuff, man. Totally funny stuff. Oh man. Immortal Biggie Shack is 21 away from 500. Hey guys, go check out Immortal Biggie Shack's channel too. Go sub to him, man. 21 away from 500. That's awesome. And he's got a great channel too, man. Talks a lot about comic books. He loves his wrestling too. In case you go to his channel, you can see that. And he's, I would say Immortal Biggie Shack is an entertainer. You know what I mean? He's an entertainer. He was born to entertain, and I see that in some of the videos that I've got to check out of his, and even his live streams. And I got to see Little Biggie too. You got to see Little Biggie Shack on there as well. So yeah, you guys should make sure you go and check each other's channels out. I think most of the people that are in here are creators on some sort of level, and I think you guys should all go out and support each other, especially like the comic book community, man. Everybody in the comic book community is so cool and seems to be very supportive of each other. And recently, Rod the Rican at Just the Rican in his comics, he just recently hit 1,000 subscribers. So soon our brother's going to be monetized. Dang. Awesome to see. Dylan's comic book rant says, dude, the guy from Seinfeld at the end with his tail. Oh my God. The guy from Seinfeld at the end with his tail. I can't remember. And Dylan's comic book rant says, I'm 24 subs away from 100. Hey, awesome, man. Growing good. Yeah, and go check out Dylan comic book rants as well. So that's good news. Glad to see a lot of these people growing. A lot of these people are very deserving of that. A lot of great creators out there that I enjoy watching their content. And like I said, not everybody's for everybody. I mean, you go subscribe to somebody, check out their channel. If you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. But me, like most of the channels I go to, I don't really subscribe unless I really like their content or unless they're a comic book creator. And one of these days, we're gonna all come together and create this big Voltron of. Why's it always got to be Voltron? You know what I mean? Nah. Anyway, I need to get more on some more collaborations with some of my some of my other comic book brethren out there, and do some more team ups, because you know what, I do a lot of like comic book chats and everything, and I want to get people involved. I don't know who to reach out to. I don't know who wants to come on my show and be on a show with an asshole. Maybe one of these days. But that's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel and the Morning Movie Chat. I am your host, Trinity. Again, thank you all so much for being here. I do greatly appreciate it anytime you guys show up to watch any of my videos. And if you'd like to, if you want to support the channel, you can follow the links down in the description where you can become a monthly Patreon supporter, or you can even send direct donations via Streamlabs. I do greatly appreciate anything that you guys do. And you guys just being here and watching the videos, liking them or disliking them or commenting and interacting in any way is something that is very helpful in the first place. So, like I said, thank you all so much. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Tomorrow's new comic book shop or new comic book day. So make sure you get out to your local comic book shop and buy some new comics and support them. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you tomorrow or in the next video. Later.